Aloha. We have a Kona layover here in Hawaii. We do have a 24-hour layover here. Let me show you guys my room really quick. Look at that view. Our flight departed out of San Francisco at 7 a.m. and then it is a 3-hour time change here in the island. So currently back in California, it's about 1 p.m. Pero aquí son las 10. I'm pretty exhausted just because it was a super early report. It was a 6 a.m. report. Woke up at 4 and left my mom's house at las 5 de la mañana. And then I'm gonna take a power nap and then enjoy the island of Kona. Our hotel property is absolutely gorgeous, and mi amiguita is actually laying over here. She has a Seattle-based trip that has a layover in Kona, and so I'm meeting up with her later. The airplane doesn't land until 5 p.m. So I think I'm gonna catch dinner with her out by the pool. Our flight here was so easy. I was so shocked. I am working first class this trip, and pretty much no one in first class ate breakfast, so my service was very easy. I think it's just because, again, it was such an early flight, and you also have to keep in mind that también los pasajeros tienen que llegar super temprano, especially with like the TSA lines that have been going on. Everybody gets to the airport extra early, so I think they were just exhausted. I just had a really nice, pleasant flight over. This is the beginning of a 3-day for me, so such a good beginning of this trip. I just woke up from my nap. I'm having a little snack. My mom made me these little potato cakes. I brought my laptop to bid for my schedule que ya abrió the bidding period, so I'm gonna bid right now. I am finishing up my bid. I think it's interesting how our pairings for our work trips change every month. This particular month, it looks like majority of the trips are 3-day trips. So normally we have 1-day turns. A turn means basically you fly out and fly back in the same day. So there's no layover. You just work to and from base, and it's just 1 day that you're gone. And normally I don't really like to work those because they're not productive in terms of credit for me as a commuter. That is not something that I want to work. I think if you live in base and you live very close to the airport, those are nice to work. If you have a family, those are nice to work because you're back home that same evening. Yeah, it's just kind of interesting because there's so many flight attendants and we all look for different things within the work trips. So we're not all, even though we're all bidding for our schedules, we all look for different things, or there's certain trips we don't want to work, layovers, positions on the aircraft. But yeah, so 1 days I don't really like. 2 days, tampoco, not so much, unless it's really high credit, because I commute or driving to and from my mom's we don't live that close to the airport, so I kind of have to make it worth my time. So I prefer longer trips, preferably 4 days, which are the longest trips we have are 4 days, or 3 days if they're productive. So that's what I usually bid for. Again, I'm pretty flexible depending on how high time and high credit the trip is, which means it's valued at more hours, if that makes sense. Like the trip is worth a certain amount of hours. I like it high credit, high hours. I'm gonna get my money's worth in the least amount of days. That's what I like. But I also kind of sprinkle fun trips every now and then, and sometimes those aren't as high credit. It just kind of depends on my mood, but most of the time, majority of the time, I do bid productive, high credit. Like voy a ir a trabajar para trabajar. And then I want to enjoy my time off. That's my mentality. But yeah, I pretty much think I have my schedule done. I'm not crazy picky. I'm pretty vague. Once you do get your line, you can swap in and out of trips. The only thing that gets a little tricky is moving your days. So that's priority, is making sure you ask for the days off that you want, because you can swap in and out of trips, but they have to be the same day. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I finished my bid. I'm gonna wrap this up and then head down to the pool area. Preparing for departure, the lavatory are not closed. Please raise your seatbelt and lower your headrest. Tray tables and device holders run to each side. In first class, please raise your footrest and lower the top rest. All bags, including cross body bags, as well as larger items like laptops and tablets or keyboards, must be stowed completely under the seat in front of your overhead. Smaller devices must be held or secured. If you are seated in an exit row, please open your window shades and unplug your devices. Once you are settled in, ensure your seatbelt is fastened and should be on a raised. Hi guys, we are starting another trip today. I'm just looking in the chat right now to see if we still have 9 minutes for boarding. It's super high credit. These are really good layovers as well. I'm going to give you guys a little seat tour of the seats on an airplane. So when you sit down, right in front of you, you have usually your safety information card. You have another card that usually has the menus, movies, information about your in-flight entertainment. You have a rewards program card, and also there is usually an air sickness bag in case you do get nauseous. So on this aircraft, we have a USB or some sort of charger up here, and then you have your outlet usually at the bottom. This one is nice because it does have a place to place your device or your tablet, and also a little drink holder. You also have your tray table. To have your food and drinks. And then down here you have a little bit of storage as well as under your seat. There's usually a little button on the side of the seat, and this is for reclining your seat back as well as your seat belt. And then up ahead you have the flight attendant button. This is for emergencies only. We have a reading light which turns on the little light right here, and then this controls airflow. It's like a personal little air vent. And then if you pay attention, there's usually a fasten seatbelt sign and obviously no smoking. Depending on the airplane, the seat can be slightly different, but for the most part, that is the majority of the seats. Another thing to note is usually the headrest is adjustable, meaning you can push it up or down depending on comfort. And the nice thing is most also adjust like this, so it can be almost like a, ¿cómo se llaman? Not all airplanes have the ability to adjust the headrest, but when they do, it is so nice, especially if you're in a middle seat. This prevents you from sleeping, falling onto your neighbors. So nice. Hope you guys enjoyed my little seat tour. Today is go home day. I'm so excited. I pretty much only have the weekend off, but I do have almost 2 weeks off at the end of this month, so I'm super excited to enjoy that. But yeah, today is go home day. We are finishing this 3-day trip. Scarf or no scarf? Let's see. It was so cute. We had a little boy the other day. He was so cute. I think like little boys, maybe I'm just biased now because of my nephew, but this little boy came up to me. He had gone to use the restroom and we had started our beverage service. And so he was trying to get back to his seat and I was like, oh, do you mind just sitting here for a little while and then we're gonna move the cart and let you pass? And he was like, yeah. And then he was like, how did you become an airplane helper? Which I thought was so cute. You guys, I am back in Denver hotel. We ended up having a mechanical and we are delayed 8 hours total. I'm exhausted and this trip is not going to be basically a red eye. We are leaving out of Denver airport at midnight when we were originally supposed to depart a las 4. Thankfully, we did get a hotel for a couple of hours, but it's kind of messed up my entire pairing. Getting into Seattle at 2:30 in the morning because of how I have my trips and scheduled stacked. I am required to have a 24-hour rest in Seattle, and then I'm going to deadhead home. So this is a 3-day trip, and with all of that added, this is going to be turning into a 5-day trip. So you can request to drop the deadhead, and that is what I'm going to do once we get to Seattle, and I will commute home from Seattle so I don't waste so much of my time off. We had a mechanical and it ended up taking longer than what they initially thought it was going to take, and then they decided they still wanted us to operate that flight, but we were just going to take a different aircraft, and that aircraft doesn't land until later this evening, so that is why we're still scheduled to work. That is kind of the chaotic end of my trips this time around, but I hope you guys have been enjoying my vlogs. Don't forget to comment and subscribe. I was honestly thinking maybe it's not so bad to take the hotel that they're offering me for my 24-hour rest, but then I just realized that I paid for hotel parking in Dallas Fort Worth at one of the hotels, and I'm supposed to pick up my car tomorrow, so I don't want to extend my parking and deal with like extra pagos, and I feel like it just overcomplicates stuff. And yeah, I mean, if I can get home sooner, why not, and not spend extra unnecessary money.
Please make sure you have all your personal belongings and watch your step as you exit the train. For passengers with carts and luggage, please use elevators located at either end of the station platform.
Para abrocharse el cinturón de seguridad, coloque el extremo plano en la hebilla. Abrochado bajo y bien ajustado siempre que esté sentado. Y permanezca en su asiento cuando la señal del cinturón de seguridad esté encendida. La ley federal exige que usted cumpla con todas las instrucciones de la tripulación, las señales luminosas y los carteles publicados. La ley federal también prohíbe fumar, vapear o consumir su propio alcohol. Todos los baños están equipados con detectores de humo.
Hi guys, I'm currently getting ready for work. I'm not really in the greatest of spirits because I'm being pulled. I'm being pulled off my trip because of required rest. Consecutive days that I'm working, I fell under and they're pulling me off the rest of the trip, which is a bummer because I was really looking forward to this layover. We were gonna go to Hawaii and I'm being removed. I'm losing the hours and I had already prepaid my parking. It's kind of a frustrating situation. I'm trying to understand because it is nothing personal. It is just company and like the FAA regulations. But anyways, at least today will be an easy day. I am flying Spokane to Seattle and then I jet head back to base, and I'm hoping to drop the jet head and just commute back to Dallas from Seattle. Yesterday we had a pretty long day and we actually had a passenger come on board that had fell in the gate area, and so that became another situation because she let us know when she got on the plane that she wanted it documented, but she didn't tell the agents. And then I was working late on that flight, and so when I found out she had fell and hit her head, I'm like, it now becomes a situation of, are you fit to fly? So that was a whole thing. We ended up taking her off the flight. A supervisor came on and kind of handled the situation. And I'm also very thankful to our captain who kind of escalated the situation because al principio como que nada más la iban a dejar ir con nosotros, and it wasn't until myself and the captain were like, no, she needs to be cleared or be seen by medical to be cleared. We can't just base it off of, do you feel okay? Because once you're in the air, it can become a very serious situation. See you guys once we're on the plane.